welcome to the Jack Low audio experience. And today joining me is Christian. How are you doing, Christian?
Hey man, I'm doing great. Recovering from a cold right now and trying to make the best of it. So thanks for having me, bro.
All right. Thank you so much for having you joining us on this podcast. So
Thank you.
before everything else, I like to jump into your world. What is in your world right now, and what are you about? And probably tell us who you are. Yeah.
So yeah, my name is Christian. I'm 31 years old. I'm currently working as a freelance audiovisual content creator. I've been doing video work for the past 13 years. Also doing music and sound design for theater, and currently trying to make the best of it in Bucharest, Romania. This is like a this is like a really short version.
Mm-hmm. So, I like to jump into why did you jump into this audio slash visual kind of a stuff? Yeah, what make you wanted to do it? Probably you can jump in, uh, bring us back to the very first point where you actually all started all this thing. Yeah.
Sure. Well, it all started back when I was like really young, and I used to spend my summer vacations in the countryside, really close to the capital, really close to Bucharest. One of my biggest passions were listening to music and reading. So I felt like a very big connection to the world that is behind sounds and behind words. Basically, what is created in your imaginary perspective. So I felt really compelled to create images in my head
Mm.
based on what I heard or what I read. So I can say that I was pretty into it from an early age. Also playing with sounds, like trying to learn piano from like self-taught. So yeah, basically it started when I was really young. I was really in contact with my creative side, and being a little bit more of a loner also helped because I had a lot of time on my hand to focus on my creative side.
Mm. When was it? I'm curious. Like when was the first moment you say that you like, oh, this is actually something I kind of love and that kind of a stuff, because I believe people in general, right, they kind of like,
Hmm.
it's so hard for them to find their passion. People
Yeah,
always
yeah.
say go for your passion, find something that you love, that kind of a stuff. But people are
Hmm.
very confused, and I like to
Yeah.
understand how was it for you, how you actually got into that. Yeah.
Hmm. So I think it was like a really lucky circumstance because based on my childhood and exactly what I told you earlier. Um, in my early preteens, I was really into extreme sports. So we started filming what we were doing, and we were sending like sponsor me tapes to brands. And one thing led to another. Contests started coming to Bucharest, and bigger sponsors started to invest in the sport we are doing. We're talking about aggressive inline, if you know, it's freestyle rollerblading. So yeah, we started doing that. We were a few guys that we were starting filming and doing stuff in that area, and that really broadens my creative senses because we are pretty free to do what we want, not having any constraints, and being in a sport that isn't quite as rigorous as like basketball or tennis, or I don't know, any of the classic sports. That this part of it really made us be more and more creative and find our path early on.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
this was around 14, 15 years old. That's when I first started filming and editing what we were doing during the day.
Hmm. That's so
That
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
So I like to jump into what you're doing like right now,
Sure.
because like it almost feels like you like overwork or something, that you caught into like some kind of sickness right now. Yeah, so I really like about hard work kind of a stuff. So like talk to me about the things that you're currently doing, what's hot, and the things that you do right now. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So at the moment, I'm doing freelance work, as I said earlier.
Mm.
Currently working on a theater play with a close team that I've been working with for the last 5 years or so. This
Mm.
is our fifth show doing together. Um, we're trying to create like a multimedia theater and practically reinventing a bit the all classical theater and the conformist ways of doing theater, like doing something different each time.
Mm.
So there's that going on, and also there's a lot of video work for clients. I mainly work in advertising and creating content for clients that require video promotion. So yeah, basically that's what I do. I try to maintain my cash flow from the video work, and
Mm.
I try to keep motivated and keep creative doing music in what time I have left after I finish the video work. So
Yes.
basically, yeah, I'm like jumping from one world to another pretty
Mm.
much on a daily basis.
How are you liking that so far? You know, like you're kind of like here and there, that kind of a stuff. How are you like adapting to those situations? You know.
Man, it's tiresome sometimes. I mean, from the standpoint of money, is like it's really nice to have independence and to be able to be your own boss and create your own context and not feeling that you're being boxed in, by a job, by a 9 to 5 or something like that. I have a lot of friends who work like 9 to 5 jobs or like even in the creative business, but still on a tight schedule. And they're all like, "Oh my God, you're so fucking lucky that you're doing this on your own time and on your own schedule." But it's
Mm.
actually a bigger pain in the ass to do it like this because you need to be really, really rigorous and
Definitely.
need to have a really, really tight discipline because once you screw up a bit or your mind gets lazy, you can fuck up the whole program and just go out of sync with yourself.
Mm.
So I think it's a good medium. It's a good kind of relationship between the things I do. They're not very different. They often mix and they often intersect. But it's tiresome. Let me tell you that. I mean,
Mm.
it's not easy, and but it's fulfilling. It's really fulfilling.
Mm. Understood. So I like to jump into because the job that you are doing is freelancing, and you talk about like your other friends is always
Yeah,
doing the 9 to 5 job, and you're
yeah.
living probably like a totally different lifestyle. You know, as a freelance person with this profession. Yeah. So what like can you walk us through like how is your lifestyle as being a freelancer? Like how is it like because it's like totally different from 9 to 5 job. So I guess our audience
Yeah.
will want to learn about it. Yeah.
Yeah, for starters, I try to keep a balanced lifestyle as much as I can. I try to wake up as early as possible in the morning.
Mm.
Um, Trying to do this at least 2 or 3 times a week, based on how much work I have to do and the time I go to bed.
Mm.
So this is one of my struggles at the moment. I'm trying to keep a tight schedule and keep doing as much as I can during the day. But it's not always possible because I get caught up with work and I go to sleep at 3 in the morning or something. So it's pretty much impossible to wake up at 6 when I plan. But basically, I start at 8:30 in the morning, something like that. I try to maintain like some exercises, like routine to keep me balanced and keep me centered. A bit of yoga, a bit of meditation. Then I jump in the kitchen, quickly stir up something to eat, and then going straight into work for, I don't know, 5 to 6 hours. Um, Afterwards, take a small break, eat something, go for a walk, disconnect from the work I'm doing, maybe do some music or play piano, or I don't know,
Mm.
something that can disconnect me from what I was doing previously, and then I go and jump back in till whatever time it is that I'm done with my work. So basically, that's a day in my life.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So really, thank you for like sharing like a context of what is your life is about. And usually, I will like to jump straight back into talking about your timeline all the way from you were since your very young age. But I heard that you talk about meditation and yoga. I'm really like because this thing is that I feel that meditation and yoga, this type of stuff, it helps us to get back into perspective of how fortunate we are, of being
Yes,
grateful of our own life, you know.
yes.
And I heard, we both of us are Gary Vee fans. So I listened to one part that Gary Vee said was that he actually pretended that his closest family, one of his closest family, died in an horrific accident, and
Hmm.
I tried that, I tried that, and I felt like so much like the feelings, the vibes, it's all there, and I suddenly
Yeah.
felt the gratefulness of being alive, that how
Yes.
fortunate am I, living in this world, that I got an opportunity to do the things that I want to do, so
Yeah.
like keeping on to the perspective, like what is your way, and like what do you think about this whole topic of like keeping yourself back into perspective and doing the things that you love and feeling grateful, this whole thing about this, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty tricky because I was like talking recently with a good friend of mine about this,
Mm.
who's also a yoga instructor, and he's like really, really supportive of me. So Valentine, shout out to you, bro. Um, he's like, he was like talking to me about the moments when I'm really, really stressed, and like I set a really, really important goal that I want to achieve in the next month or something, and my brain actually switches from the pattern where I want to meditate in order to be more centered or be more calm into a more like aggressive, like ready to fight, ready for anything kind of vibe, where I don't actually feel the same need for meditation. And funny enough, Gary also said something about this, and I
Mm.
really resonated with that because there are moments when I don't, like, my mind knows better than me what to do, and it's like, I don't want to relax right now. I need to be focused 100%, and sometimes meditation like lowers that vibration. It keeps you more in the now and more in the moment. And there are times when I really, really need to push myself, so my brain actually cannot enter the meditation state that I usually like to access when I need to relax.
Mm-hmm.
um, but on the other side, when I really need meditation in order to keep myself balanced, um, I think it's the best medicine you can give to yourself, and it's the best kind of self-therapy you can have, because it's yours and it's always in you. It's within you forever and always, and it's always been there. You just need to find it and to give yourself time to reach that connection with yourself. I mean, that's the base point for everything you want to achieve, be it with people, be it in a
Mm-hmm.
romantic relationship, or I mean, that first connection with yourself is key to anything you want to achieve in life. So yeah,
Mm.
it's really important. But there are moments when actually I cannot connect myself to that energy because I'm too focused on what I want to achieve in the near immediate future.
Mm.
So yeah, it's
That's
back and
awesome. That's awesome. So, right now I'd like to jump into your timeline, all the way from the start,
sure,
because
sure.
I can pretty much tell that you're quite, the based on the vibes, I can tell that you have this like sort of like discipline that you're gonna like try so hard. So I like to understand the things that actually
Hmm.
happen in your life that make the
Mm,
person that you are right now, you know? Yeah, I really
sure.
like to know what is it. Yeah. So probably walk us through the timeline all the way when as far as you can remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how well acquainted you or your listeners are to Eastern Europe. I come from Romania. This is a country that has been through a lot of stuff in its recent history. Um, we as people have a lot of rigors, and we are pretty rigorous people about what we want to do and achieve. But the fact that the system was for a very long period of time pretty hard on people, and especially people from the generation of my parents. We were kind of raised in this like um, really scarce mentality, and you always have to strive, and you always have to fight for what you have. um, People were always like very independent, and this is like very transgenerational trauma, if you want, from this perspective, because this kind of mindset that gets passed from generation to generation can really have an impact, and can really take its toll on you if you don't manage it properly. So yeah, I guess from an early age I started to see that my parents were really struggling to provide for me. I did not know it at first. I felt it. I felt that it was difficult. I felt that um, it was a process for them, and they tried to show it as little as possible to me at first. But as I grew and as I understood a bit better, I think it was around high school when I already started doing video work as a um, blader, as a rollerblader. Um, I started to see more and more that there are other parts of this, and it's not always about the struggle. It's also about doing what you love and what you like. And that actually transformed. So from an early age, I was like confronted with the hard part of life,
Mm-hmm.
and as I grew, I realized that there's more to it, and actually you can find strength and power and discipline, and actually bring all the benefits of that kind of mentality and that kind of lifestyle into your own kind of creation and into your own kind of lifestyle, bringing them letting them help you become greater, or better at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically that's a short intro to young adulthood. After high school, after doing video work, I started doing freelance work from clients that actually found what we were doing as young kids, playing around, filming ourselves, doing tricks. I started getting clients and getting work.
Sorry, but
Um,
how old were you then? Were you like 15 or something?
yeah, around that. Yeah, 14,
Wow.
15, that's when I started. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, you know. You already started working since 15, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't like really, I it wasn't really work, I
Yeah.
don't have a concept of work because all
Mm.
my life I've been doing this. I've never worked like a 9 to 5 job that wasn't related to what I do.
Mm.
And I often think that's also a disadvantage because um, sometimes I would like to have like a normal regular job, like being a bartender, or I don't know, working in an office or something. I never had that experience. Practically all my life since young adulthood, I've been working, doing video work and stuff related in the creative area.
Mm.
So yeah, this could be really nice and really fruitful, but it's also like I can feel it like it's maybe a handicap if I want to move to another country and I cannot get like a job in my domain really fast. I should need to make some money, and I'm always thinking, what would I do if I never worked in a normal job? Will I be able to handle it? how is
Mm.
how is it gonna impact me?
Mm.
But yeah, Yeah, I've been doing this my whole life
Awesome.
since I since
Since you are
I
15, yeah,
yeah,
you kind of like
around that age.
probably walk us through like the specific things that you kind of like do. Like say you do videos, yeah, you film or you video edit that kind of stuff, yeah.
How I
Probably,
started, I'm
yeah.
doing now.
Since then until now, yeah.
Okay. So basically, it was a like pretty basic level, but back then we were like filming stuff in the skate park. There was no script. It was like we had pretty shitty cameras and
Mm.
uh, little to no gear, because we were like kids and our parents helped us with what they could. So yeah, we got some cameras and then we would edit what we shoot and make like promo videos for contests or for sponsors. Like this brand juice came to us and said, okay guys, we're gonna have this contest, we're gonna sponsor you, so you could also make a video of the contest and we'll pay you some money for that. So that's how it started, and then gradually some of us ramped up to advertising because basically we were doing that since then, but we did not know it at that time. So yeah, basically I started doing freelance work for clients, more serious work where I wasn't like required to film as well, but focused more on editing and post production. um, and I started working with some English guys who had a small studio, and they saw some potential in the work I was doing and said, "Hey man, I think you should go to film school."
Mm.
And that was a pretty important turn of events in my life. That was like 2006 or something.
Mm.
And I started to inquire more about doing film school and trying to expand my knowledge in editing and film studies.
Mm.
So it took me about 2 years to do that. I was also working in that time with them and with other freelance projects. And in 2008, I started doing film studies at the National University of Film and Drama in Bucharest.
Mm.
So yeah, that was a really, really interesting period as well because it was full of challenges, and I got from a perspective of the young hood kid, not very poor but not rich, trying to make ends meet and doing what he liked. I got into like an academic kind of environment when everybody was a bit stuck up and everybody was like a bit elitist, so to speak. And it was like it had a weird impact on me because I was like idolizing a lot the idea that I'm gonna be around artists and around people that are very creative, and it wasn't exactly like that. But it was a really, really important life lesson because I understood that if you really want to succeed in what you do, you must stop projecting stuff on the future and on yourself and others, and you should start acting more on what you do and what you're good at,
Mm.
and never actually give in to the temptation of blending in with the group, because that's
Mm.
the most acute thing I felt in those years in the film school. That it was like the group or the teachers mostly were trying to make us all the same, and they were trying to impose their ideas or ideologies on us. And for me, that was a no-go. I mean, I never understood people who are trying to impose their ideologies on others. And yeah, especially in a creative business, I thought that was like not the place to do it.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, that was the college. I did not want to apply for a master's degree, and I finished my bachelor of fine arts, and then I left and showed them a big fuck you and continued to do my stuff.
Okay,
And
back
yeah,
up a little bit. Back up a little bit. You talk
sure, sure.
about blending in with like other people. I like to
Mm.
know like what was the situation like. The
Well,
yeah.
it's not actually the blending that's the problem. It's
Mm.
melting, if you want. It's like melting your former self and devising something that's not really you.
Mm.
When you're young, you don't really know exactly what are your true values and what's the most important thing you should do. I mean, for me, that was the case, because
Mm.
I had insecurities about my knowledge. I felt that I was out of place, and that was like that put me in a lot of situations where um, I did not have enough trust in me. So
Mm.
uh, going through that really taught me a lesson about being true to myself and my values, and never undermine those values for the sake of the group or anything else. And like always trying to be around people that are like-minded and have the same worldviews like I do, rather than trying to change my views just to be part of something. So that was a big lesson in that time.
Mm. I like to jump into the moment that you kind of like you realize that, because this is pretty much like a esteem issues, yeah. Like you don't have like much confidence in yourself, and I believe people out there is like
Mm-hmm.
facing this kind of a issue. So I like
Yeah.
to jump into your world during then. Like how was it
Mm.
like before that you have like low self-esteem and you realize that I this is something is not right, and then you start to figure out stuff and you start to pick up your self-esteem. Yeah, walk me through your thought process during then. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
could
So
recall. Yeah.
yeah, sure. It wasn't really low self-esteem. It was more like
Mm.
um, feeling that I don't fit in.
Mm.
Most of the time, I was like, I knew that my stuff was good. The first time I really felt an impact on this was when we had an exam after the first year, and the teacher started giving grades for our movies. And for me, that was like a big, a big, a big telltale that something was wrong, because I felt that in that creative endeavor, grades should not be applied. I mean, it's not that subjective. You cannot grade somebody's somebody's creation like that. You can appraise it. I mean, you can evaluate it, but in no manner you can give it a grade and say, okay, you're an A and you're an F, and
Mm.
maybe you're B. And no, I mean, the teachers did that, and from my perspective, they were trying to impose a more rudimentary, classic, like rigid kind of learning system, learning mechanism. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
Mm.
exactly the thing that Gary's talking about schools and the fact that they're not teaching you anything.
Yeah.
Basically, they're just trying to lock you up in a certain kind of thinking process, or like how you should see things, but it's not helping you in the long run at all, because giving those grades or creating that difference between students um, never actually led up to connection or doing better films. It was just competition in a wrong way from my perspective.
Mm.
So that's when I realized that something was wrong, that we were being graded for creative work. And basically that's what I was trying to run away from, doing a creative school, doing a film school. I was
Mm.
trying to run away from the social construct of school that I've been exposed to in primary school, and then eventually to high school.
Mm.
So that was a big shock for me.
Mm.
But the actual realization that I have become somebody else in that process was after I finished it. So I was already 20, 21, I think. No,
Mm.
yeah, 21, 22 years old, something like that. And when I realized that there have been some major changes in my behavior that I did not see because I was too caught up in what I was doing. And I started reassessing myself and uh, starting to build from the ground up what I think was the base of what I am now.
Mm. So when was the point of time that you kind of like feel that you got to reassess yourself? Like how did it all come to you? You know, like it's. I think that's
How?
the one of the like hardest part. You know, like you having the self awareness that you got to self assess yourself. You know.
Yeah, I felt that I was not in connection with myself anymore, and
Mm.
I felt that I was trying too hard to please others than myself. And that was like that was a good telltale for that was that my art or my creations were not speaking to me as they were when I was doing like uh, film in the skate park, you know. I mean, for me, it was like a really basic level of expression that really made me and other people feel good. And the rigors of film school, like, really took that away from me, and that was a big telltale. I kind of lost the fun and the joy in doing what I loved.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that was a big telltale for me that something was wrong.
Mm.
Besides the fact that I was a bit different from what I was before. But also, you know, when being at a young age and being at exactly that age when you're maturing into yourself and you're like becoming becoming an adult, it's pretty hard to tell exactly if I mean what's the actual ratio of how much you're actually growing up and how much you're actually transforming. But it was a pretty crucial moment, and I think it's like that for everybody at that age.
Mm, definitely, I can totally relate the thing that you talk about having the ratio, you know, because I myself like during my 10 plus years old, you know, I just think that when I reach my 20 plus years old, I will magically into like someone who is like super mature, you know. It
Mm-hmm,
doesn't
mm-hmm.
happen that way. You got to like take a big step back and
Oh yeah.
reassess yourself, and that's how you
Mm, yeah,
actually grow from there. And there's
for sure.
one part of the story, right, that I really like that you talk about, which is like teachers like grading you like, oh, grade you like A or F, and that's how you are. And that's what is like I feel in the world that they are doing right now. They are like judging people based on their grades and all that kind of a stuff.
Yeah,
So I like
yeah.
to jump into this topic of like judgment, you know, or having
Mm-hmm,
opinions coming to you, you know. So
mm-hmm.
like what do you think of that, you know, like during those experiences that you kind of face, because I believe you are doing on the creative sides, yeah, that people
Mm-hmm.
will have so much opinion towards your creative work. So how do you think about that? Yeah, how you actually deal with those?
I think people should be entitled to opinions. I mean, nobody should feel less of a person if they're not like classically trained into something, or like they're having enough studies to appraise a picture. Like, from my perspective, that's totally wrong. If that painting is speaking to you and it's saying something to you, or that musical piece, it's creating an emotion inside of you. You are entitled to an opinion, and your opinion counts as much as a professional, because that's the whole meaning of an artwork. It's made to express emotion, and when you are receiving that emotion, you are expressing it through your opinion, and that's when I believe that's when the cycle is complete.
Mm,
When it speaks to you and you speak to it back, and um, it gives you a certain feeling,
mm.
you know,
Yeah,
joy,
I
being.
think I can feel that, you know,
Yeah, for
it's just
sure.
that cycle, you know. What we want to
Yeah,
focus on is that cycle, you know. People are just way
that's
too subjective, yeah.
exactly, man. And the fact that the school system is trying to in regiment everybody everybody into this kind of mentality where, exactly like you said earlier, you are being judged by your grades and you're being judged by your ability to memorize stuff that you might not fucking use in your whole life. I mean, I've learned so much bullshit that I never went back to revisit. Like, oh, I'm gonna need this formula that I learned in the eighth grade about. I don't know what things I learned in math class or whatever. I mean, there's so much bullshit that they teach you, and they fail to teach you how to actually succeed in life and be a better person, or understand how to from the simple stuff like getting a form, completing a form, or understanding the basic economics that you need if you want to start a business, or I don't know, stuff that, I mean, you cannot teach it to eighth graders, but in high school, basically, you should start to prepare kids, young adult, adolescents to the real fucking life, because nobody's gonna teach you that, and eventually you're gonna hit a big brick wall that's gonna either slow your process with a few years, or it's all based on how emotional you are, or how are you built. So
Mm,
uh, I think that this is a big problem for everybody, and not especially for my country or your country.
mm,
I think it's a worldwide problem that school
definitely.
should be revisited, and should be upgraded to the fucking 21st century, because it's a mess. It's a really big fucking mess.
Mm, 100%. So
Yeah.
I really like that, you know. So sorry that I cut you off like halfway through your story. So like I like to jump into the area where you kind of like you're like a working adult right now, yeah. So I like to
Hmm.
jump into towards finance, and like towards the things that you kind of like towards your passion, you know, like how are
Hmm.
you balancing both of those, because you can't just fully commit into your passion to the things you actually want to do. But for your case, I think it's a bit different, you know, because you're freelance, you're doing something that you kind of like, and you talk
Hmm.
about a lot of like balancing. So I like to jump into how you kind of like make a balance towards like your finance, your passion, and towards the other aspects that you think are important to you. Yeah, like right now. Yeah.
Hmm. So I often question my ability to balance work and passion, because I don't have a sense of work when I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said earlier, I think it's a double-edged sword, because when you do what you love and you keep doing it on a daily basis, and it provides for you, um, it's really important to keep focused on not losing the why you started doing that. And it's you need to constantly remind yourself why you're doing it, because it's so easy to get caught up in the fact that you can do it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
um, because I mean, from my perspective, I know that in other countries, in Europe, I could make like at least double from what I make in Romania right now. And this could be like a big plus, because I would have more time to do what I love, or I like do more of my projects. Like, a really big frustration that I have right now about my creative work is the fact that I lack in creating time for doing more music, for example, and creating more songs that I've been working on, or finishing more songs that I've been working on, because I'm too focused on finishing the workload that I have. And when you start to put more energy in one side, it just keeps on building up and building up and building
Mm-hmm.
up. So that's a big process that I have right now, but I'm trying to fix it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actively trying to fix it by creating more time for myself, like waking up really early in the morning and trying to prioritize my passions first,
Mm.
uh, rather than working all day, and at 8 o'clock in the evening, 10 o'clock in the evening, I'm like, okay, let's do some music now, after fucking 20 hours or 12 hours of work, and it's not the same thing.
Mm.
So basically, I'm trying to work on that, and I'm trying to prioritize my passions first and work after.
Mm. I see.
And I'm still working on it. To be honest, I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to find a balance, but it's a process. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
definitely, definitely.
I'm just pushing myself to do the right thing.
Mm. So, to keep me like in context, like what is your work right now, and what is your like kind of passion, like specifically, like the things you kind of do? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
Mm.
I work on a daily basis as a post-production freelancer. I do video editing.
Mm.
I also do a bit of concept creation and sound design for
Mm.
advertising and film. And my passions include music production for theater, music production as standalone creating music for myself.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, basically these are the two worlds that I levitate around.
Mm.
Doing video work for money and as a daily job, and creating music as a passion and also as a job, but more focused on the passion and the creative side.
Mm. I see. I see. So, like, I like to jump into, uh, to be to go into the practical world, because um there's definitely like people will definitely will want to jump into their passion to always do
Mhm.
the thing that they really want to do. But
Yeah.
for your side, like in terms of like finance wise,
Mhm.
like how are you managing so far, like towards the money that you are spending, and how you managing your expenses, because you got to manage it well in order to like maintain this balance of like being able to do the things you love, and then you got
Mhm.
to work at the same time. You got to have a
Yeah.
main source for you for to fit
Mhm. Yeah.
into your expenses. Yeah, so like walk me
Yeah.
through how is it like for yours. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty much it's based on how well you do your job, how well you know your shit. If you know exactly what you want to achieve, then you'll do it. You'll definitely do it. For me, it was a big step was like going legit into business and creating my own business
Mm.
with another friend of mine, and this was a big turning point because it started to validate my work a bit more. This happened 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And until then, I was like purely a freelancer and working only on contract. Now creating a firm, we can actually talk to clients differently, and we can establish a different base. So this step forward actually really brought a lot of responsibility, managing my finances, hiring an accountant, and taking things to the next level. So
Mm.
I think this is the right thing to do if you want to step up your game and trying to grow your business as much as possible. But from the managing standpoint, I think it's really important to know your priorities,
Mm.
and it's really important to know what you want to achieve, because the impulse of like starting doing big projects and getting a bigger cash flow can be really enticing to spend money on stuff you don't need. Um,
Mm.
but like the really important part of this is to prioritize your spendings and not go crazy with it, and just invest as much as you can in yourself and your business, because in these early years of development, I think that's the most important part, and that's the most crucial part of developing a business. Because if you don't invest in it, it will not grow as much as you want it to grow, and it will not develop as much as you want it to develop. Because it's pretty easy, like, to be more precise. If I'm gonna get like a big paycheck from a client that I'm providing work for, and like my passion would be to buy a new synthesizer for the music part, for my passion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking like, okay, what am I gonna use this in the next 6 months? How is this gonna benefit me? It's gonna bring me joy. Okay, this is good, but do I really need the 2,000 euro one, or I can buy a VST that costs like $20 and do like similarly the same stuff? And just putting into perspective, um, versus doing like taking that money and keeping it in the firm to invest it in other projects, or like doing the Robin Hood scheme where I take money from the people that pay me and just invest it into my own projects.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's also a perspective, and I think that's the healthier perspective from a business standpoint, because, as I said, the early years are the ones that really matter, and they're gonna create the path for you for the later long run.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I understand that you are like it's all correct for you to like put in money into the things that is worth investing of, like your firm, that kind of a stuff. So like what I
Yeah,
listen from Gary Vee is that people buy dumb shit, to give you a
exactly.
context here. People buy dumb shit and they buy fancy clothes, that kind of a stuff, to flex in front of the people that they don't like. And
Yes,
I like to walk like go into your world, that like how is it like for you, like what are the things that you kind of like spend, like the things that you are like probably like thoughtful of, like, because from my side I always like, after watching that, I will be very thoughtful of like buying a Starbucks coffee, that kind of stuff. So
exactly.
how is it like for you, like this micro things that you kind of like
Yeah.
spend on? Yeah, how are you thinking about it so far, and how you like managing it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that Gary hits it right on the spot, because
Yeah.
it's an international trend to flex something that you're not, or you don't even have, or like buying a fucking iPhone that costs like your mother and father's salary. Well, it's like, it's so stupid, man. It's so worthless to do it. And I mean, I like nice stuff, don't get me wrong, man. I love sneakers. I'm a big sneakerhead. I love hats. I love nice clothing as well. But I mean, I don't. Maybe I used to prioritize that when I was like younger, and I was like maybe a bit stupid. But as I grew older, I realized that I can get nice things as well, but not make it a priority. I mean, that's not gonna change who I actually am. I mean, and as much as I would like to have like 10 pairs of sneakers right now, I'm gonna be happy with three, and realize that there are people who don't have one, or there are people who have hand-me-downs, and they're like third hand, you know.
Mm,
And this is one of the things that can make us more conscious about how much consumerism and social media has affected this part of us, that
mm,
fixing and filters and all this stuff that
definitely.
I think creates fake context, and like creates expectancies that aren't there. And I think it really fucks us up as a society, because
Mm,
um, Gary also says that it's not actually the social media who's the problem, but
mm.
it's us. And
Yes.
it's really fucking true. But also the fact that this kind of mechanism helps you um, beautify or amplify something that you're not. I mean, think
A
about all
hundred
the
percent.
girls who
Mm,
use filters to like tune their face, or uh, you know um, make their eyes bigger or their lips bigger or their teeth whiter. I mean, you see all the ads on the Instagram, and you're like, it's not you don't really know what's real anymore, and that's the part of social media that I genuinely hate, because I think it brings up a lot of problems in society and especially in young adults.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Definitely.
flexing is totally fucking bad
Yeah.
from my perspective.
Yeah. So like before I end off this podcast, right, I usually like to end off with like one last hot take from my guest. So is there any one last thing that is in your mind that you really want to share with everyone? Yeah. That is in your mind. Not really want to share
Yeah,
to everyone, but that is in your mind that we like explore through that. Yeah.
Jack, first of all, I want to thank you for making me part of your journey and for giving me the chance to express my feelings and tell you a bit of myself and my story.
Yeah. Thank
Um,
you
I
so much as well. Thank you so much as well.
I think it's really important to realize that this time we're living on, it's like the best the best time to be alive and to connect with people and to realize that there's nothing greater than being connected and being in touch with yourself and others
Mm,
on a personal, on an emotional level, and actually relate one to another, one to each other. And yeah, I think I would like to end it in a positive note because we were
mm,
talking about this stuff about the system and so on and so forth about all these things.
mm,
I think it's really important that people should connect more to each other, to be honest, and to be more focused on themselves more than on what others think of them. And I think that everybody should do what they love, because that's
mm,
what really sets you free and really lets you explore your emotions and your destiny, if you want.
mm.
So yeah, thank you again for having me, man. It was a great pleasure and an honor to talk to you,
Yeah.
and I hope that this journey is gonna take you places and it's gonna teach you stuff that you're gonna embody and transform yourself into the adult you want to become. So thank you again, man.
Yeah, 100%. So, before we end off, like, where can we find you on your social media? Any social media handles that you have? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm constantly just promoting my stuff on Instagram. I go by the name of Interior8 with the handle Interior088. That's my handle for music production and for creative stuff. So if you wanna reach out, you can do that. SoundCloud as well. It's Interior8. If you want to listen to the stuff I do, please jump by there and give me a sign,
All right. Awesome. Thank you so
bro.
much, Christian, for joining me on this podcast.
Thanks. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys had a great listen.